So hello everyone and welcome to this new video where today we are going to be looking on how to create a cryptocurrency dashboard where we will have a graph and some tables where we can see the different currencies that we have, and yeah, overall it's just really visual appealing. We're going to be using shadcn, Next.js and Tailwind CSS for this project, so if you are familiar with these it's way easier. First of all, what we have to do, we're going to init our project with shadcn. We're going to follow this tutorial and just fill in whatever it takes. Then we're going to add these different things and finish up with installing Recharts. Just before we get started, I'm going to show you the structure of our project. It's really simple. I have everything in one file. If you want to just make it easy for yourself, you can go ahead to the GitHub link in the description. But you will maybe have to npm force the installation because there might be some issues with the dependencies. So for this video, I'm not actually going to code live. We're going to have this running where you can see the code that I'm going to have in the project. First of all, we start with just importing all of our stuff. We are importing a lot of stuff from Recharts, for example. We are importing the card that we just installed from shadcn, and we are installing the table, importing the table, and we are importing the tabs. We also import a lot of icons from Lucid React, but these are Lucid React is default installed in a shadcn project, so you don't have to do the installation on that. So now we actually start with the code. What we're doing here is we are adding some mock data for our shard. I'm adding all the months and the value that I want to display in that month. Here we're adding sample data for our crypto assets. So we are going to have Bitcoin. We're going to have just a lot of different stuff for the Bitcoin. We're going to add USDT, and last but not least, we're going to add Ethereum because that's also like something that people know. So now we have to get started with our actual crypto dashboard. First of all, we are going to start with a use effect where we just set some global styles. I do this because it's an easier way to get started with something like this, because usually you will just do this in the global CSS, but there is a new version of Tailwind 4, that I'm not super familiar with yet, so I just did this for the project. You can also just go ahead and change it in the global CSS, that will be fine. It's something with the new Tailwind where I don't have Tailwind config, so it's a bit confusing for me just to go ahead and use that right now, but this works. So we are going to return just overall the design for this project. We are starting with this sidebar. Actually, we're starting with defining how the screen should be looking. We're saying the height of the screen and defining the background color. Then we create the sidebar. You see here we have wallet. Wallet is just the icon from Lucid React that we are importing. So you don't really have to do anything besides just using it like this when we have Lucid React already installed by default with shadcn. I'm adding a search bar for the project just to like display more. Here we are defining the different navigation items that we're going to be having in the sidebar. You see I'm using layout dashboard, bar chart, $sign, credit card, wallet, all of these. These are just icons that we are throwing. So they don't really have something on navigate to anything right now, but you could just do that. If you had to make this real, you have to create a different component for the sidebar that would make the project way more easy to understand. Now we're getting started with the main content, the stuff that's actually on the page. We start with defining a header. The header is going to be overview. We are having a select up right in the right corner. The select is just going to be with different options, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Solana. These are just to show you the options that we have. I have previously made a Binance crypto dashboard where I used my actual Binance wallet and showed the actual data from that wallet. Here we are defining some stat cards. I don't have the stat card component yet, but we're going to be making it in the end of this file. Usually you would probably make another component for it, but I'm just doing it inside of this just to make it easier for you guys to understand. We're just passing in different props to the stat card, for example, your balance, your deposits, and stuff like that. Now for the chart section. First of all, we are just using the shadcn card that we installed just to make everything inside a card. We are using our tabs. Tabs is also something that we installed from shadcn. We are here defining the different triggers for the tabs. All of this is a part of the tabs component from shadcn, so you don't have to know much about it. You can just use the default shadcn tabs if you want to, or you could go ahead and make your own tabs. But yeah, you could go ahead and do whatever you want. But for this example, I'm just using shadcn tabs, so I don't have to make the tabs myself. Now we are going for the actual graph, the area chart. The data that we're passing into the area chart, it's a chart data that we defined in the start, the sample data, where we had the different months and the values. We are defining citation grid, axis and stuff like that, just to make it look cool. You can find all the documentation for the different charts in shadcn also, or in Recharts. That's probably the place where you'll find how to do different charts. There's also like box charts and yeah, a lot of different charts that you can use. I also added a tooltip. The tooltip is the stuff that's going to be showed when we hover over our chart. The tooltip is actually custom, and we are making it in the end of this page of code as a component for itself. Now we are going to be making the asset table. The asset table is where we're showing the different stuff that we have in our wallet. So for example, Bitcoin, USDT, and Ethereum in this case. As you know, we're just using mug data. I'm calling it a vault. Table heads is just the column names. And then afterwards we're going to be making the rows. Here you see we are having crypto assets and we are mapping it so that it's called asset, so that we have each asset in the crypto assets. We're saying that the key is the symbol, which are Bitcoin or Ethereum or USDT. We're using the asset icon. The reason why we are mapping is if we didn't map it, we have to do this 3 times, but we're just mapping the crypto assets so that we can just define this once, because we know the data is the same. This is a very common thing that you do in React and other stuff. We have to make a table cell for each of the table heads. So you see first we did the icon and stuff, and then we do the daily, price, and API. Here we're setting the asset state, which is the state that we defined in the mark data for the crypto assets. What we did here was make an array and then say if we had any liquidity of the asset, it will show one color. If we don't have any liquidity, it will show another color. Here we are making the vertical icon, the show more drop down icon in the last cell. Now we are creating the custom components that we used. For example, this custom tooltip we used on the chart, which is when we hover the chart, we will see this tooltip. I made these in the component itself in the crypto dashboard, but usually you would make these in another file. That would be smarter. We also made the navigation item, which was some of the first things that we defined. It's just so that they all look the same. And then we can use this component inside up there, like we did, with the icon that suits it. Also the stats card, as I mentioned earlier, we have to define what it actually is, so that we can use it up there, like we did. So this is actually finished for the dashboard. Now we're going to our page.tsx, where we're just going to import our crypto dashboard and use it on the page of code. So it's really simple. We have our crypto dashboard component that we're just importing and using into our page, so that that's the only thing that we see. Usually you would have other stuff in here, but for this case we did everything inside of crypto dashboard, so we can just do it like this. Now to get started with the project, you have to npm I npm run dev, and then you'll see that it's running locally on localhost 3000. Sometimes you have to npm iForce, but you can try without. So what we end up with is this very, very beautiful crypto dashboard, where there's not really any functionality, but you get the idea of how something would look, and then you can just start implementing actual functionality into it. If people are interested, I don't mind making like a video where I insert data from Binance or any other wallet. I have previously done stuff like that where I used my own wallet and imported something into it. So thank you very, very much for watching. I hope you guys liked this different video where I kind of just showed the code and went through it. I hope people understand that you can just go in the description and click on my GitHub and the code will be available. So yeah, thank you for watching. Please leave a like and a comment, and see you next time. Bye.